Be strong, be you, be a ninja babe.
Welcome to the Ninjababes podcast.
Hey.
Hey, Janelle.
Hey, Cara.
What's up? You're with me today on this episode. I'm really excited.
I feel like I'm with you in person, so this is amazing.
Yes, Janelle Kopa, all the way from Minnesota, hitting me up in Jersey.
Woo!
So, Janelle, today I invited you onto the podcast because I had a cool idea to talk about a specific topic in the episode today. So, a lot of times the format of the podcast is like, I invite on a ninja, they tell us their story, and then we're like, what did you learn and how did it change your life? That's like great, but I want to I want to incorporate more like really specific topics. You and I have talked about the topic of expectation a lot, and so I wanted to really hone in on your story specifically talking about expectation. And kind of it was your idea too. Like I was like, what's a topic we could talk about? And right away this came to your brain. So I know that it's like really personal and you have so much to share today, so I'm really really excited to like jump into it.
Awesome. I can't wait. Yeah, this is something I feel just really passionate about. And like I've been thinking about it so much lately that I would love to speak about it.
Yeah. And something that some people might not know is that Janelle Kopa is our blog writer on the website. So all of the blogs that you've seen written about like the Barclay Stockett episode or other episodes on past podcast episodes, Janelle is the one who wrote them. So welcome.
Thank you. Everyone, read them, give me feedback. I want to write more, so I want to know what you think.
Yes, absolutely. So this topic of expectation, it's kind of broad as far as like, expectations can be good, they can be bad. Sometimes like expectations are there to set us up for success. It's like, you go to a restaurant and you expect it to be clean. Therefore, like the people who own the restaurant, they know your expectation is cleanliness and they want cleanliness, so they're going to uphold that. Like hopefully they have an A on the window when you walk inside. If there's like a C on the window for like health inspection, you probably shouldn't go inside, and like you probably shouldn't have high expectations for that place. So it's like expectation can be a great guide. It can be something that sets you up for like success. It can give you confidence if you expect good things from yourself, like you're going to try to live and like meet that expectation. But sometimes those expectations can bring too much pressure, or they can bring like this sense of fear of rejection or anxiety because there are expectations from other people that could be like looming over us. Like, oh no, my parents expect me to always get 100% like A's on all of my tests. And if I don't, I'm worried what they're going to say about me. Like they're going to expect me to get A's. And if I don't, they're going to ground me or they're going to take away my phone or whatever. But maybe it's also like a bad expectation of, if I don't get straight A's, my parents are going to just be so disappointed in me. And that like worry and like internalization of that disappointment can really, really hurt like a teenager's self-esteem and like how they view themselves. Those expectations can come from anywhere. It can be parents, family, like a religion or an organization. It can be peer pressure from friends. And it can even be like the way that we view ourselves. Sometimes we can get these false expectations that we put on ourselves that are like false perceptions of what we think our parents expect of us or what we think our friends expect us to do. I can think back even when I was a kid in elementary school, I had this one friend who was really outspoken about clothing. And so I remember being in the store, like Kohl's, whatever department store it was, like with my mom, and I'd be trying on clothes. And I literally can remember looking in the mirror and thinking, what would Kelly say about this outfit? I had this expectation that like I needed to meet Kelly's expectations of what I wore. I needed to be cool enough that like Kelly would like it. Kelly would think it was a cool outfit. And it was this weird expectation of like, if I didn't meet, her definition of cool, then like something bad was going to happen. So there's so many different ways that expectation can come through. And really today, I want to talk about like, what does that expectation look like in Ninja? I know, Janelle, you have a really specific story of how expectation has played out in your life, maybe for the worst. But I think it's such like a good object lesson and a good way for people to really get a handle of how can other people's expectations play into their life, sometimes for a really negative outcome. But I think when we can recognize those expectations, recognize what's going on, how does it make you feel, it can really set us free when we can work through that and then really figure out like, what do I expect for myself? Like, what is my actual goal? Like, what is my actual passion? What do I actually want to see myself doing? And make those expectations something that's positive and confidence building rather than like depleting my self esteem and making me feel like I'm just never living up to that expectation. So that was a really long rant. That was my
Yeah.
soapbox. But Janelle, like tell us, I know we explained like you're the podcast blog writer and you're a ninja babe through and through. But where have we seen you before? You're from Minnesota. Your home base is Obstacle Academy, right? How do we know you in the ninja world?
I competed on American Ninja Warrior season 11 in Seattle, and that was one of the coolest experiences of my life. And you were on my sideline, Cara, so that was sweet.
Yes.
Yeah, I've just been traveling around. We did a lot of UNX competitions this year, which was incredible. So, yay, UNX. And yeah, so you've probably seen me around doing that. And I'm also a kindergarten teacher. So, maybe some of you know me from the schools. And my kids are wonderful. They have the biggest hearts and they're crazy and they keep me moving every day. So, I love it.
So fun. And first year teaching has been a challenge, I'm sure, but also like really exciting and fulfilling, I hope.
Yes, absolutely.
uh, yeah, I'd love if you could just dive into your story. Like you've told me a lot about your own experience, but take us back to childhood. Like what was it about expectation that you got from your family and like, from your experience?
Yeah, so I might be a ninja now, but when I grew up, gymnastics was seriously everything to me. I was in the gym at least 20 hours a week, like even during the school year. So I was doing that hardcore and it was my entire life. So I started that when I was 2 years old. And then by age 8, I was already traveling around the country for different camps and competitions. And I even went to the Olympic Training Center for physical conditioning testings and camps.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, like the whole goal for doing gymnastics was get a college scholarship. That's all I thought about, like constantly. So, not many kids have this dream of, I want a college scholarship in elementary school.
How did you even know what a college scholarship was in elementary school?
It's just ingrained in the gymnastics mindset. Your goals are either the Olympics or a college scholarship. There's really no in between if you're a competitive level gymnast.
Oh, wow. I didn't even know that.
Yeah, it's either like you're doing it really for fun or it's college scholarship or Olympics. So the bar is really high. And the reason it's like so hard to get a college scholarship and why we are trying to do it at such a young age is because there's only 81 schools in the entire United States with Division 1, 2 or 3 gymnastics. So getting a scholarship is incredibly hard. So it's just as important to work towards as like even the Olympic level because so few amount of gymnasts get it. So at the same time, my mom was doing everything she could to make sure that I could do gymnastics. She was working 3 jobs at a time to just pay for me to do it. Like my coaches would give me discounts to do things. They would travel with me to the competitions, and my mom wouldn't go because she couldn't afford it. And my parents were divorced too, and they were divorced when I was in second grade, and then my dad passed away when I was in eighth grade. And we were not receiving financial support from him either. So my mom was really working hard to make sure that this dream could really become a reality for me. And I knew it. So I always felt this burden of just not having enough money and realizing that each day I was in the gym, this meant everything. So that was something I felt every day. And I always thought that it's my fault I'm putting my mom through this. And if I can't show the reward of it, it's all been for nothing.
Wow. That's like
Yeah, I know it's so dramatic, but I like literally felt these things and I think that really altered my perspective for a long time.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, that's a lot of pressure, and you were what, in middle school or, like, high school at this point?
Yeah, this is middle and high school.
Yeah, I mean, that's a lot of pressure, and that's, like, your formative years, that's when, like, kids are really understanding, like, their place in the world and, like, their place in their family and, like, building their identity and realizing, like, who they are, and so there's a lot of pressure to, like, feel all that guilt, whether it's, like, financial or even just, like, if I don't succeed, then, like, it's worthless, like, what's the point? So
Yeah.
mhm.
And I really did think that, like, I thought that the college scholarship was like the ultimate goal. Like, it is the only thing I had wanted for my entire life. And so by the time I'm in ninth grade, I was finally a level 10. And that's the highest level you can reach in gymnastics, other than if you're on like the Olympic level. And so I was a level 10 for 4 years, which is pretty good if you want to get a scholarship. So that's right on the good track. And so I started visiting some Big Ten colleges, and like I really saw this dream happening. And then I got injured lots of times, many times. This kept me out for a lot of seasons and a lot of meets, and it was pretty devastating. I pulled my hip flexors a bunch, hamstrings, I would fracture my ankles. And then the worst injury came my junior year, which is literally the most important year for a scholarship, because that's the year that you like sign your written form to compete at a school rather than like a verbal commit if you're younger. I had overused all the muscles in my neck and my shoulders. And it was actually how that happened was through a punishment by one of my coaches we had to do
Oh.
Yeah. Guess I left that out before.
Yeah, I didn't know that part.
Yeah. So one of my coaches was really angry that none of us could do a press handstand anymore, since we worked on them all the time. And basically it's where you start in a straddle on your hands, and then you're supposed to end up in a handstand. And a lot of us could do them when we were kids, and we just couldn't do them anymore. And she was really mad at us, and she made him do it for 3 hours, 2 or 3 hours for like 3 days in a row. And I literally couldn't turn my head to the side after. I missed my whole season after that. I had 4 cortisone shots in my neck, and I went to the chiropractor, massages, and acupuncture so many times. I literally missed the whole season.
Oh my gosh. Was anyone
Yeah,
else from that day like hurt because of that, or were you the only one that experienced that?
we were all hurting really bad, but I was the only one who's like all my muscles had tightened up and just kind of refused to work. I remember like driving my car, and I like couldn't turn my head. I had to turn my whole body.
Wow, that's intense.
Yeah. Thinking back on it is pretty crazy.
Ugh.
Luckily, I don't have pain from that now. Once I got through it, it was pretty good, but it took a long time. And I really think that injury cost me like my whole college scholarship. So that was really frustrating. And after that, I really hated gymnastics. As if I wasn't already had pressure before, I hated it. I hated it more than anything. And going to practice was the worst thing. And I would say by senior year of high school, that was the worst year of my life. I hated the sport. I hated myself. And while everyone was deciding where to go for college, I had no clue. And that was the only thing I thought I would be sure of at that point. So it took me a while, but I had eventually decided on going to a D3 school where there wasn't scholarship money. But I thought that this could still be something what I wanted to do, because it was at least college gymnastics. And I was just really realizing that other people's expectations were not matching my reality anymore. So doing D3 gymnastics, I was just hoping to like gymnastics again. I didn't like it when I committed to the school. I was like, okay, maybe I will like it again. I hope I do, because this is what I wanted my whole life. So even some of my coaches, after I decided it wasn't celebrated going to a D3 school, it was very much like, what is the point if you're not getting a scholarship?
Wow.
So yeah, I remember one of the girls she got to have a party for getting a D1 scholarship, and the coaches like wouldn't even tell the younger kids that I'd gone to a D3 school.
Wow, it was like shamed. It was like very shameful that.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering like why you were feeling all that and experiencing all that. Like how did it make you feel? I'm sure you felt so many things, but like what were you thinking at that point?
I actually was dealing with some self-harm.
Okay.
So I was thinking like pretty negatively. I
Got it.
thought there was no hope. There was just no point. Like
Yeah.
I really didn't know what the next goal would be. But yeah, getting to do D3 gymnastics, like deciding to do that and starting it, that was a really good start. And I did end up starting to like it again. But then I had another major injury because, gymnastics. I sprained all the metatarsals in both of my feet. And after that, I really only competed bars for the rest of the year. But at least that's my favorite event, so it's cool. But at the end of the season, I just couldn't stand the thought of coming back from another injury. And I realized I wasn't getting any joy anymore. And that was one of the hardest realizations I've ever had to come to.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, like, you're
Yeah.
completely living your life for someone else's dream for you, like someone else's expectations. And even like, the repetitive injuries every single season. And it's intense stuff. It's not like, oh, you sprained your ankle. Like, those are some serious injuries. And so to just like
Yeah.
have that constant revolving door and like never feel like you're amounting to anything, like never feel like you've achieved anything or like everyone's disappointed in you, like that's really hard.
Yeah, it ended up being the biggest decision of my life to not do college gymnastics again. And when I was making that decision, I was asked the question, well, don't you want to be a national champion on bars? And then I realized I didn't. So I beat myself up asking why I didn't want this anymore. I was so confused and I couldn't understand why everyone wanted this for me and I couldn't want it for myself. It was really hard. So then sophomore year came, went through the summer, and I decided to retire from college gymnastics. And it literally changed the course of my life. So actually, I went on a mission trip right after that, and because that had been something I'd really wanted to do, and I'd finally done something for me for the first time in a long time. Flash forward then, a year and a half later, my college gymnastics coach was actually Drew Canop, and he was doing Ninja at the time, and he didn't tell any of us until the end of the season, and we were like, Drew, you've been doing Ninja this whole time, and you've never talked to us about it. So it's kind of funny, but he had convinced me to try Ninja, and then pretty early on, I met Mason, my fiance, and I really started training, and that's where I am today. So I was like, okay, this is a new sport. I don't have this old pressure, and I can do this. And I thought this would be like a huge breakthrough and just exciting, and other people weren't going to put that pressure on me like I felt in gymnastics. But when I first started telling people about doing Ninja, people started saying what they think I would accomplish, and their expectations flooded in. So sometimes I feel like they don't stop. But everyone kept saying, you must be great at Ninja because you do gymnastics. You must be so great. Gymnastics is the best foundation ever. And I'm thinking, well, then why am I not winning all the time? Literally, I couldn't figure it out. And those words, like every time I hear that, it makes me really frustrated because Ninja is just its own sport. Like, I don't think it should be compared to another sport because other sports don't have like grip intensity, like the obstacles aren't moving. Like, I did the balance beam. You think the balance beam is moving? No. So I just started to realize all the differences really between gymnastics and Ninja. And that could be a whole episode on itself. But really, all of my gymnastics movements were memorized. I could do them in my sleep. And I've done thousands upon thousands of every movement. And now in Ninja, it's like, no, here's a course for the first time. And I'm like, where's the routine? Where's the music? So
Yeah.
that's been really hard. Like, I've been realizing these differences. And I start to explain that to people now when I'm frustrated because I'm like, these are not the same. Please don't expect me to be the best at this when this is new to me. And it's made becoming a beginner just really, really hard. And I started having these expectations for myself, even though I was a beginner, and I couldn't fully embrace that. And then I was thinking, I've only done one other sport in my life. I've only done gymnastics since I was 2 years old. Why do I need to be good right away? Why do I need to become this star? Why? So I internalized this pressure so much that I was just afraid. I started crying when I couldn't get ninja moves that I thought were simple for other people. When I wasn't winning, I blamed myself for not being good enough right away. Everyone's expectations didn't give me the power to be the best. I just became afraid to try because I was scared of failing and I thought I would prove everyone wrong.
Hmm.
Yeah.
That like gives me chills literally to hear you say that because like hearing your whole story, I can just see like how easily all of that like expectation that you had from other people your whole entire life and like so much pressure, and then like you finally think you're in this like breath of fresh air and people are like, oh, you must be great at this because you did gymnastics, and you're just like, whoa, like you do not know my backstory. like
Mhm.
like you don't know where I've
Yeah.
been with gymnastics. Like that's just crazy.
Like, the funny thing too is I'm thinking of it now, and I've been out of gymnastics for like 4 or 5 years. Like, I only did it my freshman year of college.
Mm-hmm.
So some people think I just got out of it. And I'm like, no. I've been done with this for like a little bit. Like, there's not as much link between it anymore as like I think people think too.
Yeah. Well, and it's like, I'm not trying to compare, but like there are other ninjas who are doing great and they're like, "Oh, I was in gymnastics." Like, yeah, then people are like, "Oh, they're good at ninja because they did gymnastics." But I absolutely hear what you're saying. And yeah, it's different sports. Like, it's not a memorized routine. Ninja has so many other like logical and like strategizing skills that are different
Mm-hmm.
from gymnastics, and the skills themselves are different from gymnastics. And so I think it's really refreshing to hear you share your story, because I'm certain that there's other ninjas out there who've probably in a similar situation where they had a background in gymnastics or in some other sport like pole vaulting, and people assume, oh, those skills carry over because Jessie Graff, she was a pole vaulter, and so was Maggie Thorne, and they're great ninjas. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
people make these comparisons and then assumptions,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm really just glad to hear you like share your whole story.
Well, yeah, thanks, Cara. It's something that's just been really hard because like I had all this pressure of getting a scholarship and doing well in gymnastics, and I thought it would change, and then everyone has just linked it together, and gymnastics and ninja is one, and all those unhealthy expectations came along with me in ninja. And I just feel like that's kind of where I am today. So right now, I'm just figuring out like what do I expect from myself. And this is something that I haven't done since even starting ninja. And I never did this in gymnastics. So I'm attempting to take out these expectations from others and find out what I truly love to do. And it's hard because some days it's not ninja. So I've come to realize I haven't been loving all my time in the ninja gym. And I'm just kind of reevaluating that and making sure that other people's expectations isn't the reason why I'm doing this, because I can't live that unhealthy lifestyle with and that perspective in my mind. So while I still love ninja and I can't wait to hopefully get the call for season 12 of A&W and compete alongside my fiance, who is also hoping for the call, and I'm so thankful for the family ninja has brought me, but I'm really starting to ask myself, is this something I want to dedicate this much time to? Or have I been doing this because of expectations I've placed on myself? So as I've been thinking these thoughts over for the past just few weeks, really kind of a couple months now, I felt a lot of stress and anxiety with this because ninja is my identity. Gymnastics used to be my identity, and now it's ninja. This is my home. This is my family. These are where all my friends are at. And I've really started to wonder, will my ninja family love me if I don't do ninja? And that question has been the hardest to process. But now that I'm looking at it with like a fresher mind about perspective, I am realizing that this perception is really stemming from my unhealthy relationship with gymnastics, family, and friends. So I think I've brought that along. But now that I'm realizing it, I think I'm going to be able to stop that and be like, nope, my ninja friends do love me. They do care about me. That is not the same. But there have been some really good parts about this introspection time. And Mason and I we are rock climbing a lot. So that's been really fun. I actually hated rock climbing when I started, and now I love it. So that's been really cool. And I've gotten my grip strength stronger in ways I definitely wouldn't have if I wasn't rock climbing. And I'm trying some Orange Theory and CrossFit classes. And that's strengthening my cardio, which is my weakness in ninja. And it's so awesome that Mason's coming along with me. And we've just been exploring really a lot of different areas of fitness outside of just doing ninja every night. And that's been really refreshing from my mind, which was either like burned out of ninja or just thinking about where it stands in priority. And I just couldn't be more thankful to marry someone who will do this with me. Mason's support is really amazing. And I'm smiling so big as I say that because he is just one of a kind and amazing. So one night, it was pretty recent, he told me that I don't have to be the best ninja if I don't want to be. You can be the best wife. You can be the best teacher. You can be the best mom. You can be the best at ever you want to be. And that love is seriously the biggest support I could ask for.
Oh, that's like so powerful. way to be a
Yeah,
way to be a great guy, Mason.
I know. He's amazing.
No,
Deal.
but seriously, like that is such a great perspective to have. And it's so true. Like our identity isn't in like this one thing. Like our identity is should be rooted in just who we are as a person, not like the things we do, but like who we are at the core of our being. Because you got to think like if you didn't have ninja, would you still be Janelle? Like, you want the answer to be yes. Like, if
Right.
you couldn't do
Hmm.
gymnastics, could you still be Janelle? If you couldn't, fill in the blank. Like, if you couldn't do your role, could you still feel fulfilled as a human being? And like, you need to figure out how to make the answer yes, like all of us do. And it's the same for me. Like when I dislocated my shoulder, it just felt like this big loss of like everything I worked for was gone. And like I had to really figure out how am I like what is my identity rooted in? Is it in my ability in ninja? Like clearly it can't be now, even if I wanted it to be. So like I really had to work through that and just like really dig into the core of who I was and like just be proud of myself for existing and being a human on this earth. I had to really like bring it all the way back just to realize like what are my priorities in life? What do I really care about and what am I really about? Like I can still be a friend. I can still like care about the people in my life. I can still enjoy other things that I can do in life. So, it's been a long journey since the dislocation happened, but and now I got the call for season 12, so
Woo! Yes,
so I guess I'm doing okay. But
Guess so.
yeah, but
Oh, no, wait, you're gonna do
thank
amazing.
you. Yeah, it's been crazy. But
Mhm.
I really just like in light of everything we're saying, like I really, really I know beyond any doubt that I'm coming into this season with a totally different mindset. It's like I'm just grateful to be here and I truly just want to have fun. Like I know last season I was definitely putting a lot of pressure on myself to be a big name, like to accomplish a lot. Like I really wanted to make it to Vegas and I didn't. And so then when I was testing in Vegas, I was like all about proving myself. And I know that. Like of course I wanted to just like enjoy being there and have fun and like be with all my ninja friends. Like yeah, I wanted all of that too. But I really, really was putting a lot of pressure on myself. And I feel like that compounded like with the injury, like it was a huge blow to my ego as well as like my physical body. And like I'm not ashamed to say that. You know what I mean? Like we all can get too wrapped up in things. And I think when the injury happened, I was just like, what am I doing with my life? Like now I have to like really think about like what are my priorities? Am I gonna let this injury like destroy my self-esteem or like destroy my confidence? Like I knew it wasn't gonna do that because there's more to life than ninja. So yeah, I mean I could go on and on, but it was a long process for me to like really work through all that in my brain. But yeah, this season like
Yeah, life just kind of gives everyone a test sometimes too. So I think this will really happen, a moment like this, whether it's some sort of obstacle coming your way or just different emotions you've been feeling, something's going to happen where you need to really be rooted in your identity and say, what do I want? Where are my priorities? Can I be myself without this thing? So I really like how you said that, Kara. I really agree with that.
thank you. Yeah. Yeah, and just like this kind of like segues into the next thing I wanted to talk about with you, Janelle, but it's like, I feel like it's really important for everyone to be able to come to a place where you can really evaluate like what do I really care about in life and am I doing that thing? And like what are my priorities? Like what am I living for? Like these are deep questions, but also you can even just think about it like am I doing things that make me happy or am I just doing things to try to please other people? And like this whole concept of expectations, like are you living for your own expectation and is it a healthy one? Is it something that makes you feel happy and like glad every day? Or is it like you're taking on other people's expectations for you?
And yeah, for me, it's starting to feel like I can truly become a beginner in whatever endeavor I want to embark on. So I'm learning that it's all about starting and then showing up again to the new things I want to try. Like maybe that's CrossFit or Orange Theory or rock climbing when that was the first thing. And then that turns into things you love. So I'm starting to see that my inner passions are purposeful. And if I deny myself the right to just look at what's going on inside my mind and what I'm truly passionate about, it's a disservice to myself and to others. So I can be whoever I want to be, and I know that person will help change the world.
Janelle, I just feel like your story is so valuable and it's definitely something that people need to hear because whether it's ninja or something else, like we can all get stuck in this place of just like living for someone else's expectation or not even realizing how the expectations that we're placing on ourselves can be spoiling our own fun, like spoiling our own endeavors in life because we just have so much pressure on ourselves. And I do think that there's times when ninjas do this a lot because maybe you just did a competition because everyone else is doing comps. And so I guess I have to do comps too. And sometimes it can even be like a financial burden that we're taking on because we're like, well, everyone's doing it. I have to compete. Or like, I have to have a home ninja gym because everybody does. And if you want to do those things, like absolutely, like that's what our community is all about. That like we're all into that, and that's great. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but like, do you actually want to be doing that? Because there's a difference between challenging yourself and like allowing your friends to push you to try something new and like get out of your comfort zone. But you don't want to just be doing those things because you feel like you have to in order to fit in.
Right. Yeah. Even at the start of this school year back in September, we had 3 back-to-back weekends of comps in different cities where we had to drive really far. And I was a brand new teacher. This is going on week number 2, and I was exhausted. And looking back on it, I knew I should have said no to 1 or 2 of those comps because I became disappointed in how I did, and I wasn't well rested for my kids either. And I ended up going because I was afraid of missing out.
Yeah, I think that as ninjas, we all have this like all or nothing attitude where we're just like completely hardcore about everything in the ninja world, which like on one hand is great, and on one hand, that's why I'm here doing Ninjababes. Like I was wanted to be all in. I wanted to really have a way to like impact this community, and that's amazing. But sometimes, like you just said, when we don't have a balance of like maybe the other parts of our lives, like it can become a problem. I know for a while I felt like I was hardly seeing any of my non-ninja friends, as we like to call them. I was like hardly seeing other people that I used to always hang out with because I was just like training all the time and like only doing ninja stuff. We love our community.
And I feel like I don't have other friends outside of ninja yet. Like I'm starting to get the teacher friends, but those friends are in ninja for sure.
Yeah. And like again, I'm not saying this is a bad thing because I'm like the one of the biggest people to like do these things. Like I'm always traveling. I'm like, I was in like Minneapolis for like almost 6 weeks last year. Like
Let's be real.
Yeah, let's be real. I'm definitely that person. But I'm just saying, like, I have realized, especially when I was injured and like I couldn't travel for ninja, I was like, wow, there's all these parts of my life that I just like wasn't doing anymore. And like, wow, they still bring me joy, or like it's still good to like have a balance. So I think, it's just something that I think if you're feeling like, why am I doing all these comps? Like it's good to self-evaluate. It's good to think like, am I just doing this to fit in? Am I just doing this thing because other people are telling me it's what I should be doing? And that could be ninja, or that could be something in school, something, in your job. Sometimes we get into careers just because we feel the pressure of like, oh, it's the thing I'm supposed to do. It's the thing my family always says I should do. Like, we want to live in such a way that we're enjoying our lives and we're feeling motivated to go after every day. We're not feeling like a dread to go to work or a dread to like, do the thing we don't want to do.
I completely agree with you, Cara.
Yeah. If you are anywhere near Centercourt, Lawrence, on March 21st, it's a Saturday, you definitely want to come out to the Ninjababes workshop. We're having a thought spirals workshop. So if you listened a while back on the podcast to the episodes of thought spiraling, your thoughts determine your reality, those episodes are all about the content that I will be teaching at this workshop on Saturday, March 24th at Centercourt in Lawrence, New Jersey. Definitely head on over to my website or the Centercourt Lawrence website, and you can see links to register there. There's going to be another workshop on April 25th, also at the same gym, Centercourt Lawrence. You can sign up now. That one will be focused on comparison. So if you've ever found yourself dealing with comparing yourself to another girl on Instagram or at school or at work or in the gym, and it makes you feel less than, or just leaves you feeling discouraged or like you're never going to attain your goals, this workshop actually teaches you how to use those experiences for something positive. How do you change those negative thoughts into something that's going to make you feel excited, motivated about your own life, something that's goal setting and just all around inspiring rather than making you feel worse about yourself. So check out the website to register for those 2 workshops at Centercourt, or if you want to request workshops at your gym, absolutely hit us up. There is an intake form on the website if you go to theninjababes.com/events. If you scroll down, you'll see the workshops tab, and then at the bottom of the listings, a more details button. If you click there, there is an intake form that will just help us gather some general info about what sort of requests you're making, and then we can set up a time to contact you and talk all about what a Ninja Babe workshop could be like at your gym, or you can just go ahead and reserve a day right there on our events calendar. So I can't wait to talk to you about events at your gym. Seriously, I cannot wait to visit gyms all over the country to encourage you to share my stories, to train with you, to learn from you, and to teach you all about mindset. So head on over to theninjababes.com. All right, let's jump back into the interview. So I guess, Janelle, like the 2 things that I want people to come away with from this whole episode is like, how can we realize when expectations are affecting us negatively? And then what can we do to change that or to set our own expectations in a healthy way?
Yeah, for me, I started realizing these expectations about Ninja, the more recent thoughts when it was time to go to the gym at night and I didn't want to go. And then I forced myself to go a couple times and then I was like, why am I forcing myself to go? Like, 1, why don't I want to go? Because I really would like to go. And then 2, like, where are these expectations coming from? So then I started thinking about it, the negativity of negativity of expectations. What a tongue twister. Comes when you realize that you're looking more for other people's applause rather than for your own self-approval. I really think that's something that I've experienced. And also when the joy of something you thought you loved is taken out, and then you realize, was that your own joy or are you trying to pretend you like it?
Yeah, I think that's really valid.
Yes.
It even goes back to like the whole social media thing. Like, I know there's times when like we all want to post like a cool new thing that we did at the gym, and like maybe you don't have anything to post for a few days and you like feel sad, or you post something and it doesn't really get any comments and you're like, oh, I guess it really wasn't that cool.
Right. Yeah.
Well, like, did you only do that challenge at the gym to like get a cool video, or did you do it because you wanted to be proud of your own thing? So yeah, I totally hear you with that. And I think you were spot on also with what you're saying about like finding that you didn't want to go to the gym and it wasn't bringing you joy and like you just didn't even want to do it. I think that's a really good indicator. Like, if you're unhappy, like you've got to figure out why. Like, it's not vain to just be like, oh, I have to be happy every day. That's not what I mean. It's kind of like, if you're repeatedly unhappy every day, day in and day out, like that's a really good indicator that something is wrong. And yeah, maybe it's something in your mindset. Like, maybe you're really jealous of everybody and you just don't feel satisfied with your life. But maybe like you're doing something that's like perpetuating this feeling of like dissatisfaction, or you're disappointing somebody else, or you're not living up to someone's expectations, and it's just like really hounding on you every day.
And I started realizing this was happening when I wasn't feeling this in the rock climbing gym. That's when I think I really noticed it. Was I would go to rock climbing and be excited to rock climb, and then the next day it would be a ninja day, and I was not excited and I dreaded it more than anything because I realized I was like, I love to work out. Like, I love conditioning, I love being strong. And it was the place and the environment and wherever my mindset was in ninja that started holding me back.
Right.
So having that parallel was pretty helpful to see.
Right. And I think also I just want to point out, like, we all know probably that you're going to Obstacle Academy. You were not at like a place that was a negative environment per se.
Right.
It was more so what you were bringing into your own head about being there and about training.
Yeah, exactly. Like, the people there, like Mason, Hunter, everyone is just amazing. Like, they're my best friends and they're all in our wedding too. So
That's just funny. She's like secretly wanting to kick everyone out of her wedding party because no, I'm just kidding. So, Janelle, what do you think is a good way if, for when you realized what you were feeling, how did you change it? Like, did you just realize there was a difference and then you're like, oh man, I have to do something about this? Or like, what happened?
First I told Mason because I tell Mason everything, and he really told me to take a while to think about it. And he really encouraged me to take some time off of the ninja gym to see what I was feeling. And I think that gave me permission to just be more free and not feel so much pressure. So just talking to him about it and really having him encourage me, no, be who you want to be. So it's really been like his values and perspective on life that's been helping me. And like another thing I've been doing is I really, really love to read. And so I've been reading some amazing books about just awesome people, like awesome CrossFit athletes and um, a couple like businesswoman entrepreneurs that I'm obsessed with. And just hearing their like perspectives on life and hearing their stories and how they used to let expectations hold them back and then rise above it has really been encouraging me.
That's awesome. That's really
Mhm.
cool. Yeah, I definitely think that, you know, when we realize these things, like it sets us free in such a deep way because, you know, it allows us, like you said, it gives you permission to realize that you don't just have to keep feeling that way and you don't have to just keep living that way. And so it's like when you can figure out your own expectations and maybe like you said, you need time like away from what you've been doing to just think about it and really be introspective and like try new things, like try different things. It'll allow you to like have the expectation that you want to have, and it's something that's fun. It's something that's like going to be building your confidence and like making you feel good. And you know, I think that how you feel about like, are you feeling happy? I think that's like a good guide to like, is this a better choice? Not that like we should always just follow how we feel, but like, you know, sometimes we have to, you know, put in the grind and like work two jobs if we have to because like we need money. Like maybe you're not happy about it, but like maybe that's what you have to do for a time. But when it's something like this, like, you know, a choice that you're making just solely because you feel like you have to because that's the expectation, like, you know.
Yeah, I want to like chime in something else about like setting my own expectations now. I've really just been journaling a lot lately and like asking myself, like, what do I want out of life? Thinking about those bigger, deeper dreams of like, what do I want to do and see? And I think that's really been helping. So, I don't know if I've told you this, but you remember like when I went to Africa, right?
Yep.
Okay, so yeah, so for those of you who don't know, I went to Africa, taught in a school there for 2 weeks, a year and a half ago, and it was incredible. And something they still don't have, and I remember when I was there thinking they really need a playground. And now I'm like, okay, if I could have a big dream and something I really want to work towards, what could it be? And I think it's helping them build that playground. And so I've been talking to
Wow.
the founder of the school, and I'm starting to set up some fundraising stuff and a fundraising page and talking with an organization called East African Playgrounds. And really, the goal is to raise like $14,000 to do this. But I haven't really told anyone, so might as well say it on the podcast. But
Wow.
yeah, I'm like, where are my dreams at? Where is this? And that's one of them.
That's so cool.
I've had this time to like rethink about this. So, and just, yeah, say, okay, what's a step I can take forward to doing a new dream? Yeah.
That's really cool. Thank you so much for sharing that.
I've been meaning to tell you.
Well, wait, if people wanted to donate, or like, do you have any way set up for people to donate yet?
Yeah, it's actually, well, it's still getting set up. Like there's a organization and like the website to donate is Just Giving, and the page isn't up yet, but I think it will be up really soon. And
Yeah, maybe by the time this podcast airs, we'll have to follow up on the Ninja Babes Instagram.
awesome.
Yeah, when we do our nice one Ninja Babe like shout outs on Wednesdays for community posts, we can definitely make one about that so that everybody knows.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Cool.
I love it.
Thanks, Cara.
Yeah, of course, girl. No, that's really cool. And like that's such a cool testament of, you know, stepping back from something that was like causing you stress and like not something you that you really wanted to be doing. Like stepping back from that, taking that time to think, and then look what an amazing, like beautiful thing came out of it. Like I am so excited about that.
Thanks, Cara. And what's so funny is that even on like my application video last year and like doing all the written stuff, like that was one of the things I said, if I like get money on this, like that's what I want to see done. And now I'm like actually seeing
Wow.
this as this can be done. Like this is real now. So it's cool.
Wow, that's really cool.
So,
Hear that, A&W? She has a good cause for
there
her
we
money.
go. That's right.
That's so funny. That's really cool. So yeah, I think, again, I'm just going to repeat it so that everybody can really like have a takeaway from this episode is like, how can you, take a minute to really think about your life? And if there's areas that even right now, it's like in the back of your mind, kind of like gnawing at you, like, oh, I could probably think of something that I'm putting too much pressure on myself, or I'm only doing it because this other person gives me this expectation. Think about those things and really process them and realize, like, is it an unhealthy expectation that you've taken on? And then maybe take time to journal and just think, like, how can I change this expectation? Maybe it takes talking to that person and saying, like, hey, mom, like, this is the way you make me feel. Or, I'm just using that as an example, but like, it could be anyone in your life. And if it's yourself, really like being willing to think through those thoughts and like think through what of those expectations or that pressure or whatever it is that you've been putting on yourself, like how can you remedy that? How can you be grateful for where you're at now and really rework that mindset? So, Janelle, thank you so much for being on today and just being vulnerable and sharing your story.
Thanks. This has been a dream of mine for a long time to do this with you, Cara. So I'm just happy. Thanks for the opportunity and letting me share my story.
Yes. Thank you. No, seriously. And definitely everybody check out Janelle Kopa's blog writing on the website if you just go to the blog tab on the ninjababes.com.
Cool. Yeah, read it. I want 10 minutes of us laughing to be the end of this podcast.